Good morning, everyone. Today's Morning with Visionaries is a little bit of a fun topic. Well, one of the first things I want to hit up, and if you're reading the title, you kind of know where I'm going with this. It's about working with your lovely spouse. Now, the reality is that it's not always, well, angels and rainbows and lovey-dovey stuff. The reality is that sometimes you need extra coffee to survive, and it's actually really good coffee today. And several times you do want to demonstrate your spouse. That's true. Yeah. The reality is, though, and to have a real talk, is not everything's going to be fine. Sometimes you are going to want to pretty much almost honestly murder each other. Many times you are going to butt heads. Many times you are going to disagree on topics and in not a pretty way. You're not going to have, sometimes you're not going to have discussions. You're going to have arguments about business. And it really is going to be a strain on your relationship. Maybe not all the time, some of the time. Depends on who you are, of course. The big things are, and so I'll kind of jump ahead to the survival tips for a second. The biggest thing, and this is from real life, this is from things we've experienced. The biggest, absolute biggest thing is really learning to communicate and set expectations. If so, this is kind of regular, husband wife relationship 101. If you don't communicate, you really are going to have trouble in a relationship. But this is more so in business. You really do have to communicate, set expectations, understand what the other person is doing. They have to understand what you're going to be doing. You have to have the expectations of, hey, if I'm having a bad day, maybe you can pick up the slack a little bit. Or I see you're sick today. I'll give you extra hugs. I'll do all these extra houseworks to help make sure that your mental health is okay. Because if you're well, I'm not an extrovert. I was about to say extrovert. Sorry. If you're an introvert like me, and you love being, you can't see this office, but I have I don't know what to call that, like a cubicle office. It's like a 6 by 5 office. Anyway, point being, it's small, and I like my little office because I like being alone. But so imagine if you're like that, or generally you do want some time for yourself. Imagine living all day together, and then working all day together in the same place all the time, 24/7. It can get strenuous because sometimes you need to have just you time. And there are going to be arguments about having your own time or your own ideas. Maybe actually, let's use the realistic example. Ari loves design and she's actually pretty damn good at design. I suck at design. Well, sometimes I want to design my own things and put it out for the company. Well, we've had arguments about should I, as the CEO of the company, put things out for the company. Well, there we have disagreements about this because she's the design head, and I want to put something out, something cool, try something on Adobe Spark or Canva or Crello or a lot of these things. I want to try these things, have some fun with designing. Well, most of the time I probably won't be on brand because I'm really not that great at design, at actual aesthetics of design. Well, Ari is. So we butt heads about, well, me being me, I want to just put it out there and see it, and I like just putting stuff out there. Ari doesn't. She wants things to be on brand. She wants these things to be following the brand style, the brand language, and also all go through her because if I don't follow the designs that she set, it's kind of a hit on the relationship and her position in the company. And it makes sense. But that's the thing. I sometimes think, well, we're in a relationship. She'll forgive me for these things. Well, no, probably yes. But the problem is that she's going to feel potentially probably hurt because, well, I didn't respect her position in the company, didn't respect her opinions, and more so because we've already set the expectation that she's going to handle design and design things have to go through her, and then I go around that. Well, that's bad business management because we're not having our separate positions and our separate responsibilities. And in a relationship, and especially in business, this issue will come up a lot. Sometimes Ari wants to code something, but she's not, no offense to Ari, but she's not a good coder. She's a designer. In coding, you have to think extremely logically. And so we've butted heads about her being able to code. She sometimes wants to put something up really quickly, and anytime she's done that, it's not came out to the style, not styles, the quality code and business development structures that I'm happy with and I like. And that's a problem. And we've butted heads about that. We've butted heads about, oh my gosh, let's talk about finances. Oh man, couples already in general have problems talking about finances. Now add business finances. Well, what are each of us going to get paid? What's fair? What if, for example, I'm going to make up an example here. One of you has had a business for a long time, and you're already making 500 grand, and your spouse is now coming into the company as a junior something or other, a junior engineer. I'm going to pick something weird. A junior engineer. Do they deserve equal pay as you in your own company that they co-own? I don't know. It's a question you're going to have to answer for yourselves, and it's not an easy answer. This is where the open communicate. You are going to have very hard discussions. One of you might cry, both of you might cry. You might be really angry at each other. One of you might be sleeping on the couch sometimes. That's sometimes okay, because you are going to have these really hard discussions about topics you probably don't want to talk about. Who do you want to hire? How about firing somebody? That's never easy. What about figuring out who's going to get paid when, how much? What are you going to do when there are problems with finances? How are you going to handle these things together as a couple, as business owners? That's not an easy conversation to have, and you are going to have these. What about the direction of the company? Here's an example from real life. I want our company, and the way we finally both decided to take this company is we want to be eventually we want to be a full service agency. Not right now. My goal was to kind of push that forward faster and faster because I wanted to offer more things that I kind of want to offer right now and test these things. She disagreed. We've had arguments about this because we have different visions on where we want to take this company in the short and medium term. You are not going to have these pretty conversations, and they are going to turn into arguments. But here's the big important survival tip. If you communicate well, set expectations, treat each other like humans, you'll have a pretty good chance of surviving all of this. And will you survive through it? That's not up to me. And no amount of quick tips, videos like this, watching Tony Robbins online, doing yoga, none of that is going to save you unless both of you are good enough humans to communicate and be open with each other about what you want and work through them together. That's the big thing, really. Whether working through them together really means being able to come to a compromise or be able to positively, that cheap saying, win-win. And it really would have to be a win-win type situation for both of you because you both have to now live with each other, right? So if one of you wants to go left, the other wants to go right, and person A convinces person B to go left because that's the better way to go, well, person B might resent person A now because they've always wanted to go right and they see. That's why either it's you have to come to a middle ground compromise that both of you are okay with, or you positively encourage and change their mind about why your idea or your direction or your path and strategy is the correct one. But that only happens with communication and being good people. And you might find out, though, that it's not possible to work together. And I'm not going to say that sucks because that might actually be a good thing. The kind of quick joke is that there's no such thing as really as a divorce is never really bad. Divorce is good because if you're to the point of having a divorce, that means things have gotten so bad that you want to separate, and therefore divorce is a good thing because now you can improve from there. So not to get on the whole topic of divorce, but it is possible you might have to just not work together because you don't work well together. It might be so. I, for example, cannot work with my parents. It just, we don't see eye to eye on anything, and we would never be able to go forward together because we just never figure it out. So, same thing with relationships. You might just not be able to work together and live together all at the same time 24/7. And that's okay. But you can do what you can by communicating, being open. And by the way, that does not mean if they say that that your idea is the right one, that does not mean you always have to be right 100% of the time. You might change your mind. You might give them something, they might give you something. There is some give and take in any relationship, but you should always understand each other, be open with each other that, hey, things might not always work out. We will butt heads. Let's figure out ways that are amicable for both of us to keep working together. And the other thing is setting this whole work-life balance thing. If you're kind of like us, you have you're probably a workaholic, really. From when you wake up to when you go to sleep, you're probably either working or at least thinking about work. That's okay if work is your passion. But the important thing is you'll also want at least two things. One, time for each other. So not completely non-work time for each other. You might be talking about, so you might go on a date and talk a little bit about work as long as it's nothing big or serious. Talk about this cool story, this cool little thing you learned, keep it light. And time for yourself. If you are a person who loves just you time, kind of like me, you will want to specifically have you time and communicate that, hey, I've had a long day. I need to recharge. And the way for me to do that, I'll give you a hug, but I want some and need some me time to do my own thing, be it gaming, knitting, running, walking the dog, just snuggling the dog, washing dishes by myself, whatever it might be, headphones on, world off. That kind of situation, that is okay. But you have to communicate those expectations. And you have to be in a good relationship place, really, that your partner will understand that, hey, my partner needs some time alone. All right, I'll give them a hug. And then off they go. And I will be okay with them not wanting me around for a little while. That is okay. On the other hand, maybe your partner really recharges by always you being there with them. You might not have to be doing things together, but you're giving them a snuggle while they watch something on the TV while you read a book. They play a video game while you browse Facebook, Instagram, and chat with family. Whatever they might need. Sometimes it's just supporting each other. Now, if you can't have an open communication, you can't disagree. That's the other thing, really. You will disagree. That's a given, absolute given. You know how there, two things you're guaranteed in life, death and taxes. Well, the other thing you're also guaranteed is to disagree with somebody. And if you're working together with a spouse, you are going to disagree on something eventually. Sometimes also, like I said, probably not very cleanly. So you will disagree, and that's okay. But if you can disagree amicably, if that makes sense, if you can have arguments and then come back together again eventually, because sometimes you will want time apart, you come back together and figure it out, whatever that might mean to you. Me and Ari figuring out our differences is probably different than you and your spouse figuring out differences. That's okay. However way you do it, you somehow figure it out, whatever that might mean to you. And then, just being able to set expectations. Sometimes I need me time. Sometimes Ari needs together time. Sometimes he just needs snuggles and to be left. Ari sort of seems like an extrovert of sorts. She's kind of an omnivert. I don't know what the word is. But sometimes she needs extra snuggles. Sometimes I need a snuggle and then to be left alone. And sometimes I need open communication about what's going on in the company so I know how to schedule our employees, how to schedule teammates, how to schedule finances. But I need to know these things. And so you set expectation on who's going to do what, how are you going to do these things, who's going to be responsible for what, how can we expect and plan things. And now that's the final piece. Plan. I'm not saying you have to have an absolutely strict schedule of everything, but kind of sort of plan things so you together can work towards a goal both of you both of you have put together and go forward with that so you can agree on the steps and the end goals and the general path you're going to take to get there. Easy, quick example is if you have kids, kids always complicate things, but if you have kids, let's pick an easy topic. You at least agree that you want to go out somewhere with the kids together as a family. Well, if you don't agree on where you'd want to go together as a family, that might cause issues. Let's say they want to go to Legoland, you want to go to a museum. Maybe a compromise is you go to both. Maybe the compromise is this week you go to Legoland, next week you'll go to the museum. Or maybe the compromise is you stay home and play video games. But the point is, you will disagree. You will have to figure these things out. There is no magical, easy way. There's no, what's that consulting word? If you could wave a magic wand and solve all your issues, what would the magical solution be? Well, there is no magical solution path. There's a magical solution dream you can strive for, but there's no actual magical solution in real world other than consistent open communication, consistently set and could be changing expectations, being able to understand each other, have compromises, and work as real partners, because that's what you are. You're partners in life, you're partners in business. You'll butt heads, that's okay. If you can work through those issues, you will be okay. Things won't always be hunky-dory. That's okay too. As long as you can keep working together, sometimes you won't, and that's okay. If you can't work together, that's perfectly fine. But you have to figure these things out, what will make you happy. And for Ari and I, the real world truth is dear Lord, have we ever butted heads? A lot. But we figured things out, and we've been able to make them work. We have decent expectations of what she expects of me, what I expect of her, what we expect going forward in the business and in life. We don't always agree, and it changes, and that's okay. But we've significantly improved our communication, our expectations. We have plans of what we want to do, where we want to go, and that has really helped move us forward in life. And I hope you can do that too. Just simply have communications. Communication with your spouse, set expectations, and talk to each other. That's the big thing. Because that's the real world stuff of this business. You also, by the way, have to separate your responsibilities, because once you grow to a relatively big enough company, your employees will have to know who to expect to go for X, Y, and Z item. They go to me for technical items and dev items. They go to Ari for all design items and questions like that. They go to our project manager for general questions if they don't know. So you have to know, you do eventually have to set up structures and responsibilities and trust your partner to take the responsibility seriously and delegate and trust that they'll do their work well, just like they have to trust you that you'll do your part well. That's in the best interest for both of you. So that's it for today's Morning for Visionaries. It's been a little bit long. Usually I make these things less than 10 minutes. This one has been almost 18 minutes now. But yeah, I hope it's been a good little talk with you, for you. And we'll have more of these things, because this is a fun little topic, and we'll try to have more of them, these real world examples. Hope you like them. If you have any questions or would love to discuss real world issues, working as a couple in the real world, leave some questions and comments in the comments, and I'll see what I can do about answering them. Thanks so much. See you next time.